Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're cutting straight to the chase on a really key piece of infrastructure for Ethereum's future, Arbitrum, or ARB.
Yeah, it's a massive topic, and our goal here is simple. Give you the full picture, the ins and outs of this dominant Layer 2 scaling solution.
We want to break down the tech, but keep it practical. Focus on the so what for you.
Exactly, using simple ideas.
And, what's interesting right away is who's behind it. It's not just some random crypto startup.
No, it's Off-Chain Labs, founded by serious academics from Princeton. One was even Deputy US CTO Ed Felton.
That background, that kind of pedigree, it matters when you're building something foundational like this.
Especially when it ends up leading the whole Layer 2 market in total value locked TVL. It's huge.
Okay, so let's start with the problem Arbitrum tackles. I think anyone who's tried using Ethereum mainnet directly probably knows this one.
Oh, yeah.
High gas fees, it just feels expensive sometimes, almost unusable for small stuff.
Well, it is unusable for mass adoption, really. Ethereum Layer 1, it's a victim of its own success. It can only handle about, 14 transactions per second?
Something like that, yeah.
So when it gets busy, congestion hits and fees just shoot up. Our sources mentioned, even now in 2025, a simple token swap on Layer 1 could run you like $3.78?
Ouch.
Yeah, and if every little thing costs that much, well, it's never going to work for everyday global use.
I definitely remember paying like $40 just to swap 2 tokens a couple of years back. It was painful.
Right.
So, okay, 14 transactions per second on Ethereum. How does Arbitrum manage this leap to, potentially 40,000 transactions per second? That sounds improbable without sacrificing security.
That's the core idea, the breakthrough. Optimistic rollups.
Okay.
Think of it like this. The main Ethereum chain, Layer 1, that's like a super congested highway, just jammed.
Like bumper to bumper.
Arbitrum basically builds a dedicated high-speed service road right alongside it. That's Layer 2.
Ah, okay, the service road.
Exactly. All your transactions, the swaps, the game actions, calculations, they happen fast and cheap on this service road.
Okay, so far so good. But how does it connect back?
Well, here's the clever bit, the rollup. Instead of sending every single car, every transaction, back to the main highway individually.
Which would clog it up again, right?
Precisely. Arbitrum bundles thousands, potentially tens of thousands of these transactions together. It creates one highly compressed, summary package.
A bundle.
Yeah, an audited bundle. And that single summary is what gets posted back to the Ethereum mainnet to Layer 1 for final settlement.
So the high gas cost gets shared.
Exactly. It's spread across thousands of users, making it way, way cheaper for everyone involved.
Okay, the service road analogy makes the speed part click.
Mm-hmm.
But here comes the skepticism. If everything's happening off on this separate road, how do we trust that compressed bundle they send back? What stops someone on the service road, cheating the system?
Right. Good question. That's where the optimistic part comes in. The network operates on an assumption, basically.
It assumes honesty.
Kind of. It assumes all these transaction batches posted back to Layer 1 are valid. It's, optimistic about it. But, and this is crucial, there's a safety net. It's called the challenge period.
Okay, a challenge period. What does that involve? How long do people get?
It's about 7 days. That's the window. During that week, any independent validator out there can examine the batch.
Check the work, basically.
Exactly. And if they spot an error, some kind of fraud, they submit what's called a fraud proof back to Ethereum Layer 1.
And if they prove it?
If the fraud is proven, then bam, the incorrect transaction gets rolled back. It's undone. And the bad actor who submitted that faulty batch, they lose their stake, the security deposit they had to put up.
So the 7-day wait, that's the trade-off for getting the speed and the low cost.
That's the trade-off. What's interesting technically, though, is Arbitrum's specific approach. They pioneered something called multi-round interactive fraud proofs.
Sounds complex.
It is a bit, but the upshot is it makes resolving disputes much cheaper and more efficient than some of the earlier, simpler fraud-proof methods used by competitors. It's a technical edge.
Got it. Now, I sometimes hear Arbitrum mentioned with different names, Arbitrum 1, Arbitrum Nova. Is it like one thing or multiple things?
Yeah, that's a good point. They aren't just a single chain. They realize different apps have different needs, so they have this dual strategy.
Okay.
There's Arbitrum 1, that's the main one, the flagship. It's a pure rollup. That means it posts all the transaction data back onto Ethereum L1. Maximum security, ironclad.
So that's for the big money stuff, DeFi.
Exactly. Where billions are locked up, you want that top-tier security. Then there's Arbitrum Nova.
Nova, what's different there?
Nova uses something called AnyTrust. The key difference is, to get ultra-low fees, it doesn't post all the data back to L1.
Ah, okay. So where does the data go?
It relies on a trusted group called the Data Availability Committee, or DAC, to store that transaction data off-chain.
So a bit less decentralized there, maybe.
Slightly different trust assumption, yeah.
Yeah.
But the result is incredibly low fees, almost zero. So it's perfect for things with huge transaction volumes, but maybe lower individual value.
Like gaming. Or social media stuff.
Perfect examples. And actually, here's a fun fact. Reddit uses Arbitrum Nova for its community points system.
Oh, wow. Really? That's
Well,
huge scale.
Exactly. It shows how effective those near-zero fees can be for massive user bases.
Okay, let's talk about dominance then. Arbitrum is clearly the leader in the L2 space. How big are we actually talking? And why should, the average person trying to use crypto care about that?
Oh, they're absolutely legal. It's not really close right now. Our sources, as of late 2025, put their total value locked, the TVL, at a massive $19.21 billion.
Wow.
Yeah, that's over 35% of the entire Layer 2 market share. And why that matters, it creates this powerful effect, like a liquidity gravity well, meaning money attracts more money. Users go where the apps are. Developers build where the users and the money are. This dominance feeds itself.
And the tangible benefit is the cost. Right. You mentioned the L1 cost. What about on Arbitrum?
Right. So instead of that, like $3.78 swap on Layer 1, on Arbitrum 1, you're looking at maybe $0.30. A huge difference. Makes using a dApps actually feasible.
Definitely. But beyond just speed and cost, what about developers? What's Arbitrum doing to pull in the next wave of builders, maybe people who aren't even deep into crypto yet?
This is where they have maybe their most unique advantage. It's called Stylus.
Stylus?
Yeah. You know how most L2s use the Ethereum virtual machine, the EVM? That means developers pretty much have to write smart contracts in one specific language, Solidity.
Right, the main Ethereum language.
Stylus is different. They call it EVM plus BAN. It runs alongside the standard EVM, but it uses WebAssembly, or WSSM.
Okay, technical terms. What does that mean for a developer practically?
It means they can write smart contracts not just in Solidity, but also in languages they likely already know and use. Really common high-performance languages like Rust, C, and C++ there.
Whoa, okay. That's huge. Those are standard languages for tons of software.
Exactly. It potentially opens the door to millions of traditional software engineers who haven't touched crypto before. And get this. Contracts written in these languages via Stylus can be up to 10 times faster and cheaper to actually run on the chain.
10 times. That could enable completely new kinds of apps, right? Like complex AI stuff on chain.
Potentially, yeah. Things that were just too computationally expensive before.
And it seems like the big players are noticing this stability in tech. We're seeing some major institutional buy-in, aren't we?
Absolutely. That's a huge validator. Look at the recent partnerships. PayPal, they integrated their PYUSD stablecoin onto Arbitrum.
Right.
BlackRock, one of the biggest asset managers globally, expanded their tokenized U.S. Treasury fund, BUIDL, onto Arbitrum.
BlackRock choosing your rails.
Yeah.
That says something.
It says institutional-grade infrastructure.
Yeah.
And even Robinhood is using Arbitrum for in-wallet swaps. These aren't small endorsements.
And quickly, before we move to risks, there's also this L3 strategy, Arbitrum Orbit.
Yeah, Orbit is basically their framework for creating custom blockchains. It lets big projects, like maybe a gaming company or a specific enterprise application, launch their own dedicated Layer 3 chain that settles back down onto Arbitrum Layer 2.
So they get their own space, their own scaling.
Exactly, their own dedicated environment tailored to their needs, but still benefiting from the security and liquidity of the main Arbitrum network underneath. It's about capturing the whole stack.
Okay, we've built up a pretty strong case for Arbitrum's tech and market position, but now we need to look at the other side. The trade-offs, the risks, where's the weak spot right now?
I'd say the biggest one, technologically, and maybe even from a regulatory view, is the centralized sequencer.
The sequencer.
Yeah.
That's the thing ordering the transactions on the fast service road, right?
Exactly. And currently, that's a single node. It's managed by the Arbitrum Foundation.
Single node, so a single point of failure.
Yep. And theoretically, because it's centralized, it could censor transactions. Or it could reorder them, maybe front-running big trades for its own benefit.
That sounds bad. Can they steal funds?
No, that's the important part. They cannot steal your funds. The ultimate security still comes from Ethereum L1 settlement. But censorship and reordering, That's a real centralization risk.
Is there a plan to fix that?
Yes, absolutely. The team is very aware of this, and they have a public commitment to fully decentralize the sequencer. The target for that is sometime in 2025, but until that happens, it remains the main vulnerability.
Okay, decentralization is key. Now let's talk money. The token, ARB. If the network is so dominant, so much activity, billions locked, the token should be super valuable, shouldn't it? Why do our sources seem kind of down on the tokenomics?
Yeah, this is probably the most critical issue for the ARB token itself. The problem is ARB is only used for governance.
Just voting.
Just voting on proposals, yeah. You don't need ARB to actually use the network to pay for those transactions we talked about.
What do you pay with then?
You pay the gas fees in ETH, just like on Layer 1, but much less of it.
Ah, so all that network usage, all those transactions.
Yeah.
They increase demand for ETH on Arbitrum.
Right. But they create basically zero direct buying pressure or demand for the ARB token itself.
Wow, okay. That feels like a pretty big disconnect, especially when you factor in the supply side.
Exactly. There's also significant inflation risk here. They have these monthly token unlocks happening.
Unlocks. For who?
For the early team and investors, it's about 92.65 million ARB tokens hitting the market every month, and that continues until March 2027.
Oof. That's constant selling pressure.
It is. It makes it hard for the price to gain upward momentum when there's always this new supply coming online.
But hang on, there's a potential fix baked into this, isn't there? Something about the treasury.
Yes, that's the potential silver lining, and it comes back to governance. A huge chunk of the total ARB supply, 42.78%, sits in the Arbitrum DAO treasury.
That's enormous.
It's a massive war chest controlled by the ARB token holders through voting, and they could vote to change the token's utility.
Like making it useful for something beyond just voting.
Exactly. The most likely proposal would be to introduce staking, where you could lock up your ARB, maybe earn a share of the network's transaction fees collected by that sequencer. That would directly tie the token's value to network usage.
Okay, that makes sense. Finally, what about competitors? Who's breathing down Arbitrum's neck?
The main long-term challenge comes from a different type of technology, ZK rollups. Think projects like ZK Sync, Polygon, ZK EVM, Starknet.
ZK, zero knowledge. How are they different?
Well, Arbitrum is an optimistic rollup, relying on that 7-day challenge period, right?
Right.
ZK rollups use advanced cryptography zero-knowledge proofs to mathematically prove the validity of transactions instantly, without needing a challenge window.
So, faster finality.
Yeah.
No 7-day wait for withdrawals.
Exactly. That's a big theoretical advantage. If ZK rollups can achieve the same level of compatibility with Ethereum applications, EVM compatibility, and the same stability that Arbitrum currently enjoys,
Then that 7-day delay for Arbitrum becomes a real disadvantage.
it becomes a major point of friction. Yeah, it's the key long-term competitive battle to watch.
You know, this is a great point to quickly pause and remind our listeners of something.
That's right. If you're enjoying how we break down these complex projects into simple pieces and want more reviews just like this, make sure you subscribe to our channel, CryptoBox. We do all the complex research so you don't have to. All right, so let's try and wrap this all up. To put it simply, Arbitrum is definitely the king of the hill right now in Layer 2. It's technologically sophisticated, especially with things like Stylus for developers. It offers huge speed improvements, and it's got the deepest liquidity by far. But its future dominance really depends on two big things: actually delivering on the promise to decentralize that sequencer, and figuring out a way to fix the ARB tokenomics to give the token real utility tied to the network success.
That nails it, I think. A clear leader, but with some critical homework still to do.
Yep.
Now, for one final thought to leave you, the listener, mulling over, we talked about that massive DAO treasury, that 42.78% of all ARB tokens. The really fascinating thing to watch isn't just if they fix the tokenomics, but how. Implementing that staking mechanism, funded by sequencer fees, seems like the obvious technical solution to give ARB value. But doing so could potentially attract regulatory scrutiny.
Ah, the security question.
Exactly. Could making ARB generate yield from network operations cause regulators to classify it as a security under things like the Howey test? That internal debate within the Arbitrum DAO balancing direct value accrual for the token against potential new regulatory headaches, that's the tightrope they have to walk. And how they navigate it will likely define the project's trajectory.
A really crucial point to consider. Okay, that's our deep dive on Arbitrum. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Catch you next time.